What's in a name? For this coastal town in northern Libya, a whole lot. Ghazi is the Arabic word for warrior. Bengazi is the American term these days for never-ending political controversy. It all began on the night of September 11th, 2012. Two deadly attacks, one at the diplomatic outpost, the other at the CIA annex, left 4 Americans dead, including Christopher Stevens, the U.S. ambassador to Libya.
They loved this country. They chose to serve it and served it well.
That 4 men died is not debatable, but everything else seems to be. And here are the 3 main questions that still remain nearly 3 years later. 1. Did the State Department do enough to protect Ambassador Stevens and the other Americans working there? Throughout the summer of 2012, the ambassador did ask for more security in Libya, but he never got it. Republicans blame his boss, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Madam Secretary, you let the consulate become a death trap.
Hillary Clinton got away with murder, in my view.
It's inexcusable that she never read the cables coming from Bengazi. She didn't defend our ambassador.
Democrats shot back, saying Republicans slashed the State Department's security budget, making it impossible to adequately protect Americans there. 2. Did the U.S. military do enough to stop the attacks once they began? There are a lot of theories on this one. They boil down to this, that the military didn't act fast enough, or worse, intentionally stood down. But separate investigations by the Republican-led House Intelligence Committee and the House Armed Services Committee cleared the military of any wrongdoing. Which leads us to 3. Did the White House try to downplay the nature of the attack to protect the president 2 months before the election? On September 16th, 5 days after the tragedy, then UN Ambassador Susan Rice made the rounds at the Sunday shows, with talking points provided by the CIA.
What happened in Bengazi was, in fact, initially a spontaneous reaction to what had just transpired hours before in Cairo, almost a copycat of the demonstrations against our facility in Cairo, which were prompted, of course, by the video.
Wait, let's rewind. Right there.
Almost a copycat of the demonstrations against our facility in Cairo.
Many in the intelligence community didn't believe that statement. They said there were no protests before the attacks began, and from the start, this was an act of terror carried out by extremists, some with connections to Al-Qaeda. The president won re-election, but questions about Bengazi didn't go away. At a Senate hearing, when then Secretary Clinton was asked if the administration had misled the American public, she famously responded with this.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
Here's what investigators have figured out. A. There was no protest outside the compound in Bengazi that night. The CIA changed its tune on that one. B. The attacks were the work of terrorists, some associated with Al-Qaeda, but we still don't know the identities or motives of all the attackers. And C. There wasn't adequate security to protect the lives of the ambassador or the other 3 Americans who died. Who is ultimately to blame, and when did the White House know the truth? That's the subject of yet another investigation, the 8th so far. Whatever you believe about Bengazi, at least you can say, now I get it.
Pain trail.